Hey guys, what's up? Mike1 here, and I'm here telling you guys we are readjusting what the channel is doing again. We're not going to be tournament news. Only what I'm going to be doing is doing like more of a weekly roundup type thing for the game of Overwatch in general, and focusing, of course, on esports. So anyways, what's going on in the world of Overwatch? So, let's get down right to it. So, first of all, apparently Overwatch's developers were threatened. So I'm just learning about this, so I'm reading it along with you guys. But apparently, so there's a Kaplan. I'm just messing up a lot. Overwatch. He said Jeff Kaplan. I'm messing up a lot. Is saying that Overwatch doesn't stop because it's 5 o'clock on a Friday evening. Overwatch doesn't stop because it's our kid's birthday. It's a 24/7, 365 days affair. So, Kaplan said that writing on his form is not part of the job, but his developers do it because they just want to. He said posting in public can be scary. Most of the community is great, but he said there are some people who are mean. So, basically, I'm pretty sure what he's saying is that he's getting some threatening feedback, and he doesn't appreciate it. That seems to be what's going on. Oh, they're threatened often, yeah, because of their slow development and all that, so, you know, that makes a lot of sense. That's really all the general Overwatch news, so let's move on to the Overwatch League, the news for that. So, if you don't know, the preseason for Overwatch League starts on December 6th, I believe. However, the first inaugural, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the first season starts January 1st. Not January 1st, my bad. It's January 6th or 7th, something like that. It starts around then, the 6th or the 7th of January. So, and furthermore, there is finally a team name, the Shanghai Dragons. They're the first team to reveal a name and a logo. The logo will probably be the name, or the thumbnail of this video. So anyways, let's go on to what 12 teams are actually in the league for season 1. Excuse me. So, the 12 teams are Boston, New York, London, LA, and LA has a second team, Miami, Florida, San Francisco, Dallas, Houston, Philadelphia, Shanghai, and Seoul. So there's a couple of notable groups here, like Boston is owned by the Kraft Group, or Robert Kraft. New York's owned by the Mets COO. London's owned by C9 or Cloud9. LA, one of LA's teams are owned by Immortals. Miami's owned by Misfits. San Francisco's owned by the NRG. Dallas by Envy. Houston by Optic. Philadelphia by Comcast. And Seoul by, I'm pretty sure, Lunatic High's owner. I don't know if it's his owner or whatever. And if you don't know already, some of the rosters have been announced. Seoul's team is Lunatic High. I'm pretty sure New York City's team is Luxury Watch Blue, and Cloud9 their team is Kongdu Panthera. So all those teams, or Kongdu C9 right now, or whatever the name is, C9 Kongdu, whatever their name is, Kongdu Panthera. So there's 3 purely Korean teams. However, NRG doesn't seem to be doing that. They signed Sinatra to that $150,000 a year contract, and Envious announced that the 2 players that are at least confirmed are Taimu and Seagull on their team. Personally, I am not a fan of the Seagull signing, because if Envy keeps all their players, there's no room for Seagull because their 6 players are just so good. However, they announced that they're planning on doing something where they flex per map. So I guess that might work. It might hurt their teamwork because they've been functioning as a unit for over a year now. Just with small changes to the roster, like the addition of Effect, which really they just skyrocketed into notoriety with Effect because they've already been viewed as the best team in the West, at least, and Effect really solidifies that they're there. Also, Optic has also just announced that they have signed 2 F-Energy FE players. They signed the 2 tanks, CoolMat69 and Muma. That's Cool Matt 69 is one of the best divas in the world, I would say, and Muma's a pretty good Winston, if not one of the best Winstons in the world, at least one of the best in the West. So, yeah, Optic and Envy are obviously going to be rivals here, but I'm not sure, because Houston and Dallas, and the fact that they're rivals in other games, I'm still not sure about how they're going to be able to compete with Envy in a rivalry like that. I'm just glad not every team is moving onwards like this, like moving on with only signing Koreans. I'm going to suspect at least one or two more teams are going to try and sign a Korean team. So that's all the news I have. So time for some speculation. Here, or not speculation, here's some planning I have that if you guys like this, maybe, I don't know, I just want this idea to be pitched on to Blizzard because I hope for Overwatch Contenders Season 2, whenever that happens, because Overwatch Contenders is basically a minor league. How I want Season 2 to go, I want at least for Season 2, they should add 2 or 4 teams. I think it should be 4, but 2 or 4 teams. And how do you add 2 or 4 more teams? Again, you start from kind of how you did in Season 0, only this time limit it. Have something like the first... I'm pretty hardcore copying off of Hot 6 Apex's way to do it, but they have a pretty damn good way of doing it. They had the first 256 teams that sign up contend. Obviously, pro teams are most likely going to be the teams to make it, but you give everybody an equal shot. You just do 2 games round robin for each team. This probably won't be streamed or whatever because there's way too many games. You get to the top 64 teams because each... you play 2 games, round robin. And top 64 teams move on to the second phase. And yes, I know this is straight up what Hot 6 Apex does, but they should do something like this. Then you have 64 teams. This is a little bit different than what they do. Have 8 groups of 8 out of the 64. So you have 8 groups of 8, and you have the top 4 teams... the top 4 teams from each group make it to the round of 32, but it's not really a round of 32, it's another group stage. And you have 8 groups of 4, and the top 2 teams from those groups make it on to the last 16. And then you actually go into your, like, another competition sort of thing. Like the next round, which this is where you'd actually start streaming the top 16 matches. Top 16 teams. You can either do 4 groups of 4 and do something like that. You can do like a best of 3 series where each team plays each team and the top 4 teams make it on to go on to the next Overwatch Contender season. Or 4 groups of 4 and the top team from each group makes it. However they want to do it. I don't care. But they should keep adding teams to Overwatch Contenders. Give more players a shot at being in the spotlight. If it's confusing what I just said, look at how Overwatch Hot 6 Apex Challengers works, all the seasons to get into Challengers. That's basically how I think it should work to get into Contenders. Also now, I want to go and look at Contenders and look at the playoffs, and I want to give you guys my predictions for how the playoffs are going to go for Overwatch Contenders, and I'll do the same for Hot 6 Apex. So, I'm going to tell you guys the teams that are in both of them. The playoffs, at least. In North America, I am messing up so bad right now. I am so sorry, guys. In North America, first place Envious is facing 4th place F Energy FE, and 2nd place FaZe is facing 3rd place Indivision. Those are the 2 matches on October 7th for the semifinals. And in Europe, it is 1st place Misfits versus 4th place Cloud9, and 2nd place Giganti versus 3rd place 123. So I'm going to give you guys my predictions for the, the NA first. Like, fully NA. Envious versus F Energy FE. Envy, I don't know what these are going to be, if they're best of 7 or best of 5, so I'm just going to tell you guys who wins, who loses. Envy's going to beat F Energy FE, but F Energy FE is going to fight it somewhat close. Maybe not as close as Rogue did, but they're going to fight it decently close. Expect about a similar showing from them on their first game against Envy. So Envious is going to beat F Energy FE and make it to the finals. FaZe versus Envision. FaZe is gonna wipe the floor with Envision. They're gonna sweep them probably. They're gonna just crush them and roll them over because Envision has been on a massive down streak since their early season dominance. So it's gonna be Envy and FaZe in the finals most likely, and this is how I envision it. And it's gonna be a decently close match between Envy and FaZe. FaZe is gonna play them really tough, but I think Envy's gonna come out on top as the Contender Season 1 champions. So, what about Europe? How do I think that's gonna go? So, let me get back to that. Okay, so Misfits versus Cloud9. Cloud9's going to play Misfits somewhat tough, but they're not going to be able to hold up against Misfits. Giganti versus 123. Giganti just seems like a whole league ahead of 123 when they played them, and I think they're going to take it to them. So it's going to be Misfits versus Team Giganti. Yes, 1 and 2 again in Europe and NA. And I think the results are going to be the same. Misfits just have looked uncontested. They've looked stronger than Envy in Europe. However, I think that's just because the European competition level is a little bit lower than the NA. So I think, like, overall, Misfits is a little bit worse than Envy. But that would be a great match to see, and I'm so sad they're not doing that. So I think it's going to be Misfits versus Giganti. I think Misfits is going to beat them. Those are my predictions for that. Now let's go on to Hot 6 Apex. I haven't been keeping up with this as much. I've just been looking at the scores. So let's see how the teams are doing over in South Korea. Okay. So in Group Stage 2, we are still waiting on a match, actually, to determine who makes it to the semifinals. So there are spoilers here. If you want to watch it, don't listen to this. Basically, Cloud9 Kongdu is in the semifinals, and they're going to face the winner of GC Busan versus Lunatic High. Sorry if you can hear the rain in the background. And on the other side of things, Runaway won Group B, and NC Foxes came in second in Group A. So they're facing each other in the second match in the semifinals. Lunatic High versus GC Busan. I personally think Lunatic High is a little bit stronger of a team, and they should be able to beat GC Busan. That goes into the playoffs. And I don't know when the playoffs are scheduled to go. October 10th, actually. Okay. So I am going to give my predictions here. Cloud9 Kongdu versus Lunatic High, I'm predicting. Cloud9 Kongdu, I think, is going to beat them and move on to the finals, while Runaway beats NC Foxes to move on to the finals. Cloud9 Kongdu versus Runaway, I'm predicting is going to be a 4-2 victory or 4-3 victory for Runaway. I'm predicting a Runaway championship when Cloud9 Kongdu will be the second place teams. However, NC Foxes versus Lunatic High, I think Lunatic High will drop to NC Foxes 4-1. The Lunatic High just not look too strong, but I think they look a little bit stronger than GC Busan. Also, I said last thing in this news roundup, I said earlier I can see 2 more teams being signed on. I can see Runaway getting signed by a team after this stellar performance so far in Hot 6 Apex. I could see Runaway getting signed, and the other team I could see is most likely X6 Gaming or NC Foxes. I could see either one of those teams getting signed. Either way, guys, this is Saber Marco on here, and I'll see you guys next week for some Overwatch news. See you guys then.